Look behind me. This is a crash that would have killed most people, and it did kill 2 people on this helicopter when it crashed into the Superstition Mountains going over 100 miles an hour. That was back in 2015.
Flight paramedic Derek Boehm survived, and he is sharing his story with CBS 5 this morning's Preston Phillips in his first TV interview. In part 2 of this series, Surviving the Odds, we show you how Derek is now giving back to those who helped him survive.
Nearly 3 years have passed since this Native Air helicopter slammed into this remote mountainside in the Superstitions at more than 100 miles per hour. The violent crash killed 51-year-old pilot David Schneider and 38-year-old flight nurse Chad Frary. Miraculously, flight paramedic Derek Boehm survived.
There are some things you remember all your life, some people you carry with you all your life, and Derek is one of those.
Trauma doctor Paul Blackburn was the first to tend to Derek when he arrived at Maricopa Medical Center, bruised and broken.
Number one, I was amazed he was alive because of the velocity at which they hit that mountain. And then for him to come in with the long bones and his legs fractured, he was in his flight suit, smelled of jet fuel. I knew that this was going to be a complicated resuscitation, and of course you always wonder if they're going to make it initially.
In addition to his bilateral femur fractures, Derek had fractured his right ankle, along with 5 of his ribs. He also suffered second-degree chemical burns to 5% of his body, hypothermia, and a deep laceration to his leg. Trauma Chief Dr. Sidney Vale came in off a vacation with his wife when he learned Derek was in his ER.
It's a tough one because we're used to people getting hurt, but not when it's one of us.
The problem here, Derek was out for a long time. The exposure, he was doused in fuel, and hurt in a way that most people don't get hurt.
We've had survivors from these things who are permanently disabled, permanently in a vegetative state with a horrible head injury, never being able to be literally put back together. They're in so many pieces. That was not the case for Derek.
In fact, it was quite the opposite. After the crash, Derek went to nursing school and is now working at Maricopa Medical Center alongside the doctors that pieced him back together.
At what point did you decide that this would be a place that you'd like to work, that you'd actually like to be involved with the people that helped you?
I think as soon as I was able to get back on my feet and have a clear purpose as to why I was still here, that was the way I was going to give back, was to work here at Maricopa Medical.
Standing in the same spot he was laying 3 years ago as a patient, Derek says he remembers it all like it was yesterday.
I remember hearing lots of voices. It was kind of a chaotic scene from what I've been told. Lots of people were trying to ask me lots of questions. But I just remember feeling safe, feeling like, I got a chance to make it.
See, the thing about Derek is he never gave up hope.
People have 2 choices. It's like fear. Do you run from it or do you step up to it? He stepped up to it.
Derek says every time he walks past the helipad and into the hospital for his shift, he remembers everything about that horrific night, but comes in with a mission.
Hey, sweet, you doing okay?
To help others.
It's kind of a reminder to me of how lucky I am to be alive and how lucky I am to work here and give back to everything that they've done for me.
For that person to come and work at the place that's helped him, put him back together, what's that like having him here? It's such a wild story.
Well, it's like the circle is complete. And I was very surprised the day that I came in and saw him sitting in the nurse's station, and he got up and walked and shook my hand. A warm feeling, a wonderful feeling, and it was surreal.
Wow, the circle is complete. Remarkable story. Great job, Preston. As far as what caused the helicopter to go down, the NTSB released a preliminary report on the crash, but there's still no final report regarding a cause. Those are usually made available on the anniversary of the crash. However, federal investigators did send us a statement which reads in part, quote, "The NTSB's investigation of this accident led us to some technical issues that needed time to test and research involving both foreign and domestic participation. As a result, our investigative process has taken longer than usual." When we asked about a timeline, they told us they had no idea.